chapter 4. When you get to 2 Kings chapter 4, ease on down to verse number 8. And in the King James Version of the Bible, it reads on this order. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed through Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was, as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold, I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passes by continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be when he cometh unto us, that he shall turn in thither. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and turned into the chamber, and lay there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. He said unto him, and she said unto him, Say not now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful with us with all care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king or the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among my own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when she had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace the son. And she said, Nay, my Lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaiden. And the woman conceived and bare a son. That season that Elisha said unto her, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went unto his father to the reapers. And he said to his father, My head, my head. And he said to a lad, Carry him to his mother. At the end right there, thus ends the reading of the word of God. And for a few moments this morning, if you mind helping me, just tell it to your neighbor, say, Neighbor, the preacher's going to preach about the characteristics of a godly mother. Give God some praise right there if you were blessed to have a godly mother. Now let me start by saying that I know that all women are different. But let me also preface this message by telling you that all godly mothers are the same. And so no doubt as we look at this picture that God has painted in this passage about a mother and the characteristics that a godly mother has, no doubt whether your mother is alive or gone home to be with the Lord, there are going to be times in this sermon that you say, that sounds like my mother. Matter of fact, there are going to be moments where you just don't say, that's my mother, that's my mother. Because though all women are different, all godly mothers, they are the same. And in this passage, I saw some P's that jumped off off the page that let me know that God had placed in here and had placed in the heart of mothers something in particular. God made mothers from a divine design. When he had mothers in mind, he poured something extra into mothers. He poured something additional into godly mothers. There's something unique about a godly mother. And I saw some peas rather, that jumped off the pages that spoke about a godly mother. Watch this. The first thing that I saw is that this woman was a woman of prominence. Because verse 8 says that she was a great woman. That means she had much affluence, but not only did she have affluence, she had influence. In other words, she was able to get some stuff done that others just could not do. She was a prominent woman within that community. She was a prominent woman within her household. She was a prominent woman. Other women looked to her. They got advice from her. They had her pray for them. She was a prominent woman. She didn't just come to church. She was a mother on the board. She didn't just come to church. She was one of those moaning mothers. She didn't just come to church, but she worked in the church. She diligently sought after the Lord. I'm talking about a prominent mother. She was a great woman. She had much affluence, but she also had much influence. And it's the difference if you only have affluence but no influence. See, affluence is about what is in your purse or your pocketbook, the pennies that you have and carry around. But influence is about what you can get done by merely speaking a word, what you can get done by merely bowing a knee, your presence makes a difference. Anybody here know it makes a difference when mama shows up? Ooh, anybody say, I'm going to tell my mama? Somebody here knows it makes a difference when a godly mother shows up. I got any people that were blessed to have a godly mother. A godly mother is a mother of prominence. A godly mother is a mother that can make things happen. She has not just affluence, but she has influence. Because some things money just can't buy. I remember in Acts chapter 3, I saw two broke preachers at the hour of prayer as they saw a man begging outside the gate, beautiful. And they said unto him, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I unto thee. They didn't have any affluence, but they had influence. They could still make a difference in your life. Anybody know that a real mother, a godly mother, makes a difference in your life? First thing I saw is that she was prominent in verse number 8, the 8th clause. She was a great woman. But not only was she prominent, I saw she was persuasive. Watch the text. The text tells us that she constrained him to eat bread. In other words, she showed him hospitality. She invited him into the house, and she prepared a meal for the preacher when he passed by. She constrained him. She was persuasive. Everybody here knows that a real mother got that persuasive way. It's hard to say no to mama. I'm going to talk to you if you can this morning. Anybody here know that it's hard? You can say no to everybody else. You can say no to your boss on your job. You can say no sometimes to your husband and wife. But it's hard to say no to mama. Mama's real persuasive. Matter of fact, some of y'all in church this morning because mama is real persuasive. You'd be out doing other things, but mama said, let's go to the church. And because mama said it, here you are this morning. Because mama is persuasive. It wasn't just about her cooking and her cleaning, but mama knew how to make connections. Mama knew how to make things happen. It wasn't just about the food that she prepared on the table. Don't discredit it, discount the food though, because you know can't nobody burn like mama. Can't nobody cook like mama. Mama knows all your favorite food. You leave mama's house and say, she put her foot in there. Come on, talk to me. And let me tell you, there's not a smell like the smell when you walk into mama's kitchen. Ooh, come on, talk to me this morning. You walk in the door and the aroma hits you. And you don't be going in my pot. Come on, talk to me. Wash your hands before you open my pot. You want to know what mama's cooking. She constrained him. She was persuasive. She was so persuasive, in fact, that every time he came that way, he ate at our house. Every time. It says, and as in oft. Every time he came by, he always went by mama's house. He always went by Big Mama's house. He always sat down and had a plate of that good old cooking. And you know mama had some recipes that she could cook. How you know? Because it said as oft. And you know if you go to somebody's house, they invite you to dinner and they can't cook. The next time they invite you back, you ain't coming. But every time the door was open, every time dinner was served, the man of God was right there, loading up his plate, thanking God for those recipes that mama and mama alone made. Not only was she prominent, not only was she persuasive, but I see that mother had divine perception. I'm not making it up. Watch verse number 9. And she said unto her husband, behold, I perceive that this is a holy man of God that passes by continually. She had perception. In other words, mama is hard to fool. It's hard to slip one over on mama. It's hard to get one by mama. Mama don't even have to see you, and she still know that you did it. Mama eyes can be getting blind. Her footsteps can be getting slow, and she'll still see you. Because she's got divine perception. It's not about eyesight. It's about insight. Woo. In other words, mama knows her child. A mother that's got more than one children, she'll come in the house, look at a mess, and know which child did it. Yes. That's a RJ mess. That's a Jenny mess. That's a Jayla mess. Whatever your house is. Mama walked in the house and knew which one of her child did it. She had perception. She had divine insight. Didn't call nothing but one child. How'd you know? I mean, boy, I know you. She had divine perception. Anybody ever tried to sneak out on mama? She'd be standing there when you sneak in, huh? Because mother has divine perception. Watch this. We know that when we go out and we grow older, we try to forget all of mama's rules, but all of that stuff that mama has trained you up in. She had sense enough to put something on your heart and put something on your mind, and you get out there grown and something you would do. You hear mama say, don't do that. She gave you a divine perspective with her divine perception. She trained you up in the way you should go, and now you got old and you didn't go another way. You tried to stray. You tried to hang out. You tried to go clubbing. You tried to go gambling. But every now and then, you hear something mama say, start tugging at you. Call you back home. Not only was mother prominent, not only was mother persuasive, not only did mother have a divine perspective, but watch this. Mother was philanthropic. Watch the text. In other words, mother had a heart for everybody. She didn't just care for you. She cared for the community. Matter of fact, your house was the house that everybody hung out. Everybody could get a plate at mama's house. Everybody called mama, even in the neighborhood, if they wasn't her child. Because she was philanthropic. Her philanthropy was seen in the man of God. When he showed up, she said, let us build a room. Said to her husband, I perceive he's a holy man of God. Verse 10, let us make a little change. Let us do. We're not going to wait on somebody else. Let us do it. So we're not going to leave his care to somebody from the community. Let us do it. And then your mother had a let us mindset. Let us go down the street and mow the lawn for that old lady that can't mow the lawn. Let us go and shovel the driveway when the snow comes. Let us. Mama never let you shirk your duties. Mama always made sure that everybody was cared for. Let's make them a little chamber. Not only was mother philanthropic, but mother was purposeful. She had a purpose and a design behind everything she did. She didn't just say, let us make him a chamber. She said, here's how we're going to furnish the chamber. We're going to put in there a bed. We're going to put in there a table. We're going to put in there a stool. We're going to put in there a candlestick. Mother said, when the man of God comes by, he's going to have to get some rest. That's the bed. So he's going to have to be refreshed. That's the table he's going to feed him. Not only that, but he's going to have to do some reading. That's why I got a chair where he can study. But not only that, there's a candle there which shows illumination or divine revelation where God can speak to him late in the midnight hour when others are asleep and he's still awake. God can speak and give revelation. Yeah. Don't act like you do ministry. You don't need some rest. Well, I wish I had a real church right along through here. Anybody know you get tired in ministry? Matter of fact, Galatians 6:9 said, be not weary in well-doing. Ministry is a good word. Be not weary in well-doing. In due season ye shall reap if you faint not. You get tired sometimes. You want to throw in the towel sometimes. And sometimes you need some rest. Not only do you need some rest, but you need to be refreshed. 1 Corinthians 16 and 18, the A clause says, for we have refreshed my spirit in yours. Ooh, God will refresh you. He will renew you day by day. He will replenish you. But you got to take some time to rest sometimes, to sit down sometimes, to relax sometimes, to spend some time with God. And then it said a stool. That the stool is a place of study where he reads the word. And he 2 Timothy 2:15 says he studies to show himself approved unto God. A workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. He is there in study. And then that candlestick. That time that he reverences God. When deep secrets are revealed to him, as seen in Daniel 2:22. Those deep secrets that are revealed unto you by God in love. When he told Nebuchadnezzar, God reveals those deep secrets. I know your dream, O king, because I spoke with the king of kings. God revealed it. He shined the light. He took the candle from heaven and shined the light so I can see. Thy word, O God, is a lamp unto my feet, a light unto my path. So says Psalms 119, 105. God's word is a light. It will illuminate you, take away the dark recesses of your mind. Give you divine revelation. Not only was she prominent, not only was she persuasive, not only did she have divine perception, not only was she philanthropic, not only was she purposeful in what she did, but I saw that while all of this was going on, the man of God said, I won't be selfish. What can we do for her? So he called her in. And in verse number 12, he said, Gehazi, his servant, called the Shunammite. And when he called her, she stood before him in verse 12. And the preacher said, behold, it's clear and careful what you've done for thee. Wouldest thou that I've spoken to the king or the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among my people. Because she was prominent, she said, I don't need you to get me in the palace. I'm already on the guest list. I don't need you to introduce me to the captain of police. I give at the annual policeman's ball. Because these are my people. I know these folk. I know these people in the community. I know how to get some things done. I know how to get myself in the palace. Then the man of God wanted to know, What can I do for her? And he said unto God, and Gehazi answered in verse 14, verily, she hath no child. She can get into the palace. She can get to see the captain of the police. But she's never been a parent. There's some things that God and God alone can do. A fertility clinic can't do it. If God don't bless it, no child will be conceived. There's some things that only God can do. And let me tell you, you've been blessed with a child God blessed you to have what many wish they had. She could get into the palace. She could talk to the captain of the police. But she could not be a parent without the blessing of God. Oh, what a blessing those of you sit holding babies right now, rocking babies. Now, what a blessing from God. God alone gave you that opportunity. It wasn't the king. It wasn't the police. It wasn't the captain of the host. But it was God himself. And look what the woman said. A child. She said, don't fool me, man of God. I've been, nay, man of God. You know how long I've been wanting a child? Don't play with me, preacher. I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed all night long. I fasted and prayed. I cried and prayed, and I never had a child. What? Don't play with me, preacher. He said, but this time next year, God's got something for you. And let me tell you, your mother, a real mother knows how to cherish what God gives her. A real mother knows how to love a child. A real mother knows how to sacrifice for her children. I'm talking about a real mother. Watch this now. And so it happened. Just like the man of God said. Verse 17. And the woman conceived and bare a son. Can you imagine her pleasure? Sister Lou, you have to remember in this time, if you didn't have a child, if you were a woman that was barren, it was believed that you were cursed of God. They believed that God had reproached you. They did not have true revelation now, so they assumed that something had to be done. They assumed some type of sin had blocked the blessing. But here now, after all of these years, God blesses her with a child. Let me tell you, some blessings, the ones that you got to wait on, those are the ones you cherish. The ones that don't come easy, those are the ones you cherish. The ones that you got to fast for, those are the ones you cherish. The ones you got to pray for, those are the ones you got to lay prostrate out for and pray for yourself. Face down, those are the things that you cherish. You imagine how she feels when she finally gets her bouncing baby boy. Oh, look at the baby. After all of those lonely nights longing for a child, now God blesses her with a child. God gives her her heart's desire. Can you imagine her divine pleasure? And you know how it is. When you have a child, everything changes. Well, I know I should have found some help right there. When you, come on, talk to me this morning. When you have a child, everything changes. You used to have an office in your house till you had a child. That became the baby's room. Come on, talk to me. You used to have a man cave till the baby came. That became the playroom. And don't you remember all of your colors throughout your house used to be color coordinated. And then you put pink and blue on the wall when the baby came. When the baby came, you had to change out your old furniture because they had sharp edges and you were afraid the child might slip, trip and fall and hurt them. So you had to change your furniture. That's right. When the baby came, if you had any lead-based paint in your house, you had to get rid of that old paint. You had to chip that old paint off the wall and make ready for the baby. Matter of fact, before the baby got there, everything changed. Come on, talk to me. Anybody in here had a baby? Before the baby even got there, your weight changed.
Yes. Yes.
Before the baby even got there, your eating habits changed. Before you even got there, you started taking neonatal vitamins. Everything changed. But you could deal with all of those changes because you were expecting the child. Now the text turns. Because verse 18 says, and when the child was grown, fell on the day that he went to his father to the reapers. Just old enough now, he ain't got to hang out with mama all the time. And you know how sons are. They want to be just like their dad. And so father's in the field. And the son says, I want to go where father is. And so he goes out in the field. Not knowing the customs, he didn't wear a hat. Didn't understand that you can't play out there in the sun all day. That's why sometimes when it gets too hot, you make your children come in. They'll stand out there running, play until they fall out in the sun. But you got sense enough to say, no, come in the house. The boy says, my head, my head. Look at it now. As her pleasure turns to pain. Ain't that how it is sometimes in life? Those children that you raised and reared that have given you so much pleasure, won't they turn around and give you some pain? Yes. Okay, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Let me help you this morning. Anybody dealing with teenagers, won't they give you some pain? And anybody dealing with adult children that have problems, won't they cause you some pain? Won't they keep you up at night? Won't they make you toss and turn? Aren't they good for your prayer life? And don't act like it don't hurt you when your child hurt their step.
That's right.
Your baby hurt their leg and you cry. Come on, talk to me. Not only did I see her pleasure turn to pain, but even in the middle of the day, I saw a sudden problem. Isn't that how trouble is? Trouble will just show up unannounced out of nowhere. You'll just get a bad doctor's report. You're eating right, taking all of your medicines, but you go there and still get a bad report. Boy wasn't even sick. He was going out to play. And now all of a sudden, he's got pain. It's a sudden problem. And when your problems show up with your children, don't it cause a problem for you? Don't it make you cry? Don't it make you pray? Won't it keep you up all night long? A problem. It says that. And when he had brought him to his mother, he sat on her knee, verse 20, till noon, and then he died. Watch this though. When stuff starts to die on you, as a mother, you got to know what to do. I told you this is a godly mother. And a godly mother knows that a death is just an opportunity for a resurrection. Ooh, somebody felt that in their spirit. A godly mother knows that a death is just another chance for God to raise them up. Look what happens in the text now. As he comes, she's got this problem. She went, verse 21, and laid him on the bed of the man of God. She doesn't prepare for a funeral. She prepares for a resurrection. How do you know she doesn't prepare for a funeral, but rather she prepares for a resurrection? Watch the progression of the text now. After she laid him on the man of God bed, verse 22, she called unto her husband and said, I pray thee, give me one of the young men and an animal that I may run to God, to the man of God, and then, watch this, and then come again. I'll be back. He'll be back. She didn't even mention the condition of the child. It was like when Abraham was going up Mount Moriah. He didn't even mention what he was going there for, because he was preparing for resurrection. He was preparing for God to do what nobody else could do. She was prepared to leave it in the hands of God. Look at what her husband says. He said, wherefore wilt thou know this day? It's neither the new moon nor the Sabbath. What you want to do this for? It's harvest time. I'm in the field. I need all the laborers. I need all the animals. But look what mother turned around and said. She was preparing for a resurrection. She said, watch this. It shall be fine. Verse 23, the C clause. It shall be fine. She got a dead baby upstairs on the bed, and she's still speaking life. It shall be fine. When they tell you your child is getting in trouble in school, you got to have the heart and mind. It shall be fine. When they tell you your child is strung out on drugs, you got to have the heart and mind. It shall be fine. When they tell you you're not going to make it, you got to have the heart and mind. It shall be fine. She said, I need to hear from one more authority. I need to hear from God on this matter. I need to hear. Watch this. Now her husband sends the animal. Verse 24. She saddled the animal. Mama didn't let nobody else do what she could do herself. She was worried that the servant might slow her down, so she did it herself. She didn't wait on the lad to do it. This is my child. I'm going to do it myself. She said unto her servant, drive, go forward, slack not thy riding, except I bid thee. She said, put the pedal to the metal. Don't hold back. I saw mama's pace. Don't miss that. Mother keeps a pace like nobody else you've ever seen. You can't keep up with the pace of a godly mother. A godly mother is the first one up because she fixes breakfast. A godly mother is the last one to lay down because she ironing clothes and setting them out. A godly mother, when they sleep, it's hard to keep up with the pace of a godly mother. Oh, that young man just keep running. I'll keep riding. Keep on running. I'll keep riding. Watch this. And as she runs, I pray thee that it is well with thee. Watch this. As she comes close to Mount Carmel. Now let me tell you. Mount Carmel is about a 4 to 6 hour ride from Shula. So she's running with all she got. And it's a long distance. But she's holding on every step of the way. See, here's the thing about faith. Faith is not made with problems. Faith only manifests in the midst of problems. In other words, in the midst of your problem, that's when you see faith really shown and show up. So she kept on running. I heard her proclamation when she got to the man of God. It is well. Before she got there, it shall be well. But when I get to the mountain where God is represented, the same Mount of Carmel where Elijah, battled 540 prophets of Baal, there on the mountaintop, it shall be fine. And everything, it is fine now. I've made it to the mountain. I've made it all the way here. And I've seen God move on this mountain before. Anybody else seen God move on mountains in your life before? Well, when you got sick, he moved on that mountain. Well, when you were worried, he moved on that mountain. When your child got lost, he moved on that mountain. Anybody here know that we have and we serve a mountain moving God? As she gets there, I got to haste to a close. I got to cut across the field. I done held mama too long. And I know y'all want to get on home so that you can celebrate mother on this day. As we get down to the text now, she tells, the man of God tells his servant, go on, take my mantle, take my staff, and run on back with it. And lay it across the child's face. Mother said, I'm not going to leave you. She bowed down at the man of God's feet. I saw her posture change. And isn't that how Problems will cause a change in your posture. Well, problems will make you bow your head in humble submission. I said problems will make you bow down and pray. And I heard her tell the man of God, I will not leave you, but I'm just holding on to God's unchanging hand. And she told the man of God, if you come back with me, I believe everything will be all right. And they made their way back to the house. And when they were coming out, Gehazi met him and said, the child still didn't stir. But I'm so glad the man of God said, I'm going to go in the room anyhow. And don't you know, it makes a difference when the man of God is doing the will of God, because the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man, it does avail much. And he went in the room, and when he got in that room, he laid out over the child. He prayed, talked to God about it. And let me tell you today, just a little talk with Jesus makes everything all right. All right. Don't you know, just a little talk with the master will make it all right. But he got off the boy. The boy was warm, but he wasn't woke. You know what the man of God did? He walked the floor. Is there any mothers in the house today that will walk the floor all night long, prayed and walked and prayed, cried and walked and prayed? And I tell you today, he stretched out over that boy one more time, hand to hand, eye to eye, and mouth to mouth. And he prayed one more time, and the boy, he sneezed 7 times. 7 times the number of completion. 7 times God's divine number. Ah, yeah. Anybody know God will? Work it out. 7 times. The boy sneezed. Said, go on, get up and go with your mama. Everybody else had given up on your child. Said they wasn't going to make it. Doctor had to come in the room and say, go on and go home with your mama. When they said your child was strung out on drugs, would never be delivered. When you walked them out of treatment, they said, go on home with your mama. And I tell you, the characteristics of a godly mother is seen in her faithfulness as given to her by the Almighty God. At this time, we'd like to extend the invitation of discipleship. We're extending the privilege of the church